Good afternoon. Thanks for joining me, or thank you for watching the recording. Whichever it is, I'm really glad you're here. This is going to be a fun, information filled half hour about that I'm going to tell you about the three levels of cash flow advisory. Now, most people don't even get to level one, but those who do, that's about where they're stuck. Whether you're fractional CFOs or people who are advisors, it's level one. That's where they're going to. How do I know? Because that's what people are asking me for. But there's two more layers to cash flow advisory, and each layer provides more and more value to a company, an organization. And I'm going to tell you all about that today, including how you can get 24 ideas for level three strategies, level three advisory if you wait to the end. So, but before I go there, let's talk about Pivot 2026. Pivot 2026 is going to be the unconventional cash flow conference. So if you have ever had a desire to really learn how to model, manage, and maximize cash flow, and you want to improve your mindset and learn how to mentor others, that's the 5-step Cash is Clear process, you can get jump started in just 4 days. And it's going to be morning study sessions, afternoon tutorials that are optional, and afternoon for you to absorb the material and think about how to integrate this into your organization. So contact me or go to pivot2026.com if you want more information. But let's get started. When we talk about this 5-step Cash is Clear process, which I just mentioned, model a business and how the cash flow flows in and out. Number 2 would be manage the cash. That's bring money in faster or slow down your expenses. That's number 2. Number 3 would be maximize your cash flow, which also helps you maximize your profit. And then mentoring, which is helping teach other people in the organization how to deal with cash flow and how they impact cash flow. And then finally, which isn't final, it's actually first, but it overarches everything, that is mindset. When I talk about this 5-step process, there is actually a preliminary step that I don't talk about. Why don't I talk about it? It's simple. It's because it's not really dealing with cash flow, but it's a necessary step. So I want to mention that first. And this is what most accountants and bookkeepers do, and that is reporting. They do bookkeeping and accounting to report the state of a company's finances as of a specific date in time. And it would be in the past, not forward. That's one of the big differences. So that is the basics of pre-advisory work, is just doing a great job with bookkeeping and reporting. But once you've done that, that's when you can start getting into stage 1 of cash flow advisory, and that is modeling. Modeling is critical, and let me tell you why there's value behind modeling. It brings organization to the chaos of accounting. Why do I call accounting chaos? It's because there's so many figures that aren't particularly active in real life, not active, but real in real life. If you've got depreciation and there's an asset, it doesn't really mean that you spent that money, that it came out of your bank account. It's just a theoretical reduction in value of an asset, but you might have paid cash up front. You might be making payments over time. Who knows? But asset values are completely different than how you pay for them. That's one. Number 2 would be most people depend on the P&L. So there's all sorts of ways, and I won't get into it. There's lots of times I've posted about this, but the modeling makes it very clear when is money coming into the bank account and when is it going out of the bank account. And it's a projection forward. And I standardize on a 13-week cash flow model, but I'll go out further. I'll go out as far as I need to. But it's standardized and says this is when we pay, not the theory of when we're supposed to pay, but this is when we actually pay our bills. And this is when the money comes in, not the theory of when people are supposed to pay us, but when they actually do. Modeling brings clarity to a certain degree. Modeling lays out all the expenses in one place. Modeling lays out the revenue and when it comes in clearly. And it's simply, when does revenue come in and what are the expenses for a period of time? Again, I go by week, and that ending week balance is the beginning of the next week. And you do it and you project it out. And why do I know that this is where so many people get stuck? It's because that's what people talk to me about too often. David, I want to be the best modeler in the world. Great. That's fantastic. And I have people that I depend on to help create the templates, not actually put the numbers in, but there are some wild templates out there. I use Excel. There's software for it. And that's wonderful to learn to that point. And there is some value add that can be added. What is the value that comes in? Organization, the relationship between money coming in and going out. And you'll see you can play around with the model without actually doing anything in real life. And you can see how moving things around will help or hurt. And you get to if you're getting to the next stage, which is manage, you get to preview what a particular strategy will do to your cash flow, which is huge. But let me tell you the best thing about having a cash flow model for any business, it is the mindset. I've already mentioned it produces clarity, but it also all of a sudden gives people an idea that they might be able to impact cash flow, that they might have some level of control. And believe me, when a company is having cash flow issues, they feel out of control. And that in and of itself causes problems, because there's a lot a company can do with their cash flow, even though it might not seem like it. And so all of a sudden, a business owner, and this is true, I'll give you an example. A client that I just started working with about 2 or 3 months ago, he hired me to just produce a cash flow model. That was it. It's like, fine, don't worry about it. I wasn't trying to bring him on as a client, but we got done with the model and I showed it to him, and he said, David, I've never thought of it like this before. I've never seen anything like this. I've never been aware of all the things that are going on in my business simultaneously. And he ended up hiring me. And here's the most interesting part. When we started working together, he had already made changes to his business as a result of having a cash flow model. And all of a sudden he realized, wait a minute, if I just do these few things, I can bring more revenue in faster. And he did. And he had wonderful incremental cash flow as a result. And it helped. Now, he's still not out of the woods. There's a lot of structural things that have to be fixed. But that really proved to me the power of a cash flow model without any additional help. But let's talk about step number 2 of advisory. Step number 2 is manage. Manage is very simply bringing money in faster or delaying expenses. That's it. That's the only thing. Also converting assets into cash. That would be a third thing. Never thought of that before. Converting assets into cash. For example, an accounts receivable, you're converting, that's an asset, converting it into cash. Inventory, you convert to cash. And I'm not talking about sales. Sales is a different thing. You never know when you're going to get paid. We're talking about bringing in cash faster. So why is that so important? What value does it bring? Well, number one, When you combine it with a model, the goal is for 13 weeks out, which is 3 months, it's a full quarter, always be giving a realistic projection that you will have cash in the bank above zero, above 1,000. Or you could say, all right, I want at least so much in reserves, whichever it is, that you always have cash in the bank. That's number one. Number two, you level out your cash flow so you don't have this, feast and famine. That is a tough way to go. The elation of having a lot of money in the bank, followed by the terror of not having enough. And what happens if you have too much in the bank? You're generally apt to spend it too quickly. So you flatten it out, but there's no net increase in cash flow. There's a possibility that you might end up with less cash flow long term to try to get cash in short term. Now, that's a topic for a different day, but I'll give you an example. I won't leave you hanging. The example is you need cash today, and you go out and you call your clients and you say, I will give you 5% discount if you pay me this week. You're not supposed to pay me for 15 or 20 days, but if you pay me this week, I'll give you a 5% discount. Well, that is typical of most of the cash management advice that I read in really incredible publications, but they give bad cash flow advice. Why? If you're in trouble, absolutely do it, but you've got to get off of that and get to maximizing as soon as possible, because you increase short-term cash flow, but you decrease long-term cash flow. If you give away 5%, that could be half of your profit. So I won't belabor that particular point, but keep it in mind that when you are managing cash flow with the assets that you already have, you can go from a train wreck to always having enough cash in the bank without making any other changes in your business. And that happened to a client of mine. We found cash in his receivables, and we found cash in inventory. We found cash in off-book assets. We found cash in underutilized resources. And at the end of just a 3-week full-time advisory, we had not only put enough cash in his bank account that he just stopped worrying, but also it was never going to happen again based on what he learned, and was just managing his money. That's it. So that's great. And it's obviously more value than modeling. But let's move on to strategy number 3, which is where the power is, and it's also where the fun is, and that is maximize. That's not a strategy. It's stage number 3 is maximize. That type of advisory work where you're coming in and you're saying, you know what? You have a certain level of cash flow. You have a certain level of profitability. I'm going to show you how to become more profitable. I'm going to show you how to increase your cash flow. That's where the power is for you and for your clients. I'll give you one example. We'll do the accounts receivable. Instead of trying to bring money in faster, become the bank. Now, this doesn't work for all clients and all circumstances, but think about this possibility. You have clients that are trying to grow. They don't have enough cash to pay you on time, but you want to sell more to them. They want to buy more from you. So you say, great, this is what we're going to do. This is an idea. We will charge you the same amount. Let's say 50%, it's $100. We're going to charge you $100. You owe us $50 on the same terms. Now, I'm going to pretend that covers all your costs and the rest is profit. Pay us the $50 according to your normal terms, and then we will give you 6 months or a year to pay the rest of the $50, but we are going to charge you interest, 12% interest. It's just the round number. That's 1% per month. So it's approximately 50 cents a month. You start becoming a bank. Now, you can't do this with all clients. You can't always do it, but think about how that flips the pay for the receivables, you get to maximize cash flow. You get to maximize profit. And that's where people will continue to pay an advisor month after month as they continue to implement idea after idea after idea. Now, I've generated what I call the Cash is Clear Maximizer. It's over 230 cash flow strategies. If I look at the management strategies, there's about 80 of them. Some of them are manage and or maximize. It just depends on the circumstances. Then there's 120, 25 plus that are maximized strategies. So there's more maximized strategies than there are managed strategies. You've got to know when to use them, how to find them, how to identify that there's a possibility within the company. But that's where the power is. And you can see the value being added at each stage. So where are you in your journey? You might be at the reporting stage. You might be at stage 3 or beyond. But wherever you are, this adding value to your clients is what will keep the lights on for them. And then you can have them as a lifetime client. So I'd love to hear in the comments where you are in your advisory journey. And of course, if you're interested in learning more or becoming an advisor or going from a level 1 to a level 2 or a level 2 to a level 3, where you're not just doing management, you're doing maximization, let's talk. Because that's what I love doing, is teaching people how to do this, because then they go out and make companies sing. And when I say sing, I mean become even more profitable. It reduces the stress of the business owners. And by the way, when you're doing this, you are adding layers of additional mindset to yourself that then you can go on and pass on and mentor your clients. It's all about mindset and learning step by step. So remember, think cash, not accounting when you're doing advisory work, and go out there and become an indispensable cash flow and profit advisor.